Hello everyone and welcome to my nerdy little corner of the internet. Whispers in the Well is right around the corner, and so it is time for my ultimate draft guide. In this guide we will look into the data within the set, some archetypes you might see, and some traps to avoid. Whispers in the Well introduces Whispers, a new character classification that comes with its own new ability, Boost. Characters with Boost have a boost cost. Once per turn, you can pay the boost cost to put the top card of your deck underneath that card. Characters with Boost usually get extra abilities when they have had a card put underneath them, like Megara, Secret Keeper, while other characters with Boost trigger an ability when you put a card under them, like Cheshire Cat, Inexplicable. You do not get to see the front of the card when boosting, and like with shifted Floodborn cards, where the top card goes, the rest follow. There is a new ability called Alert. Characters with Alert can challenge as though they had Evasive. This means they can challenge evasive characters, but are not evasive themselves. Therefore, they cannot be used with Dumbo, nor be chosen by cards such as the Horseman Strikes. While super rares and legendaries can be exciting to open in our packs, we must keep an eye out for potential traps within the set while drafting. There is no shame in picking a card for its value, rarity, or the fact that you love the card. These are simply cards that may not be as beneficial to your pool as one might initially think. The Headless Horseman, Cursed Rider. In Limited, you and your opponent are playing very few actions, and even though the body is decent and has playable shift targets, you typically want those shift targets more than playing this card early. Illuminary Tunnels, Linked Caverns. You will be playing very few locations in this format, and this card really relies on having multiple locations in play and in your deck. The removal in this set is fantastic. There is straight up removal like Dragonfire, Treeper and niche removal like the Sword of Hercules, and even removal that replaces itself like the Horseman Strikes. There are also many ways to deal damage to opposing characters such as David Xanatos, he hurled his Thunderbolt, and can't hold it back anymore. In Reign of Jafar, the strength, willpower, and lore per ink, or SPI, WPI, and LPI respectively, was 0.72, 1.13, and 0.46. In Fabled, they were 0.7, 1.01, and 0.41. With Whispers in the Well, we had the largest characters to date, with 0.96, 1.12, and 0.47 strength, willpower, and lore per ink respectively. The vanilla characters in this set are much larger than in previous sets, changing the math of the game as a whole. The cost curve of commons and uncommons is pretty standard, with the exception of the 6 and 7 cost slots being a little less prevalent than before. Whispers rests right in the middle of the road in regards to evasive interactions and bodyguards compared to previous sets. However, the card advantage is a bit less than in the previous two sets, so make sure to have a smoother curve naturally within your deck. There are a few fun decks that you can build. First is Detectives. There are several characters that like playing other detectives, and since most of the detectives are playable, you're sure to crack the case of a victory. Next is the Big Ones. There are a few cards that care about characters with 5 or more strength. You want to have big characters on board anyway, and getting these extra benefits can help you smash the competition. Finally, we have Whispers. Cards that let you essentially boost for free or multiple times in the same turn, mixed with Whispers that get better as you get them boosted, and additionally, cards that care about other characters having cards underneath them. This is kind of a jigsaw kind of deck that can be really fun to draft for all you tinkerers out there. In our final segment, I will give my top 5 commons, uncommons, and rares for the set. My top 5 commons are as follows. Demona, Betrayer of the Clan. This body is insane for its cost. Stone by Day practically doesn't exist, as in Limited you'll have a hard time having 3 or more cards in your hand at the start of turn 6. The Headless Horseman, Relentless Spirit. Large bodyguards are always a joy to have in Limited, allowing the card to do its job the turn you play it. Though characters are much larger now, having some control on how the opponent challenges can be enough to get ahead. Hermes, Harried Messenger. Like Bodyguard, Rush is an ability that lets your character do its job the turn you play it, and being able to surprise challenge smaller characters is always a good thing to do. Elsa, Exploring the Unknown. A nice little character that replaces herself. We do get to draw into our bombs sooner with her digging, and a 1/3 body isn't bad. Peter Pan, High Flyer. In Limited, Evasive is incredibly powerful, and Peter Pan having 2 lore makes him even stronger. Here are my favorite uncommons. Nibs, Lost Boy. These recursion abilities are always solid in Limited, requiring the opponent to use an action or ability on him to be truly removed, and whenever these characters have 2 lore on them, they're even more playable. He hurled his Thunderbolt. This card is straight up removal or extra needed damage on a character. There's also a number of deity characters in the set, so the Challenger +2 can also be useful. Goliath, Guardian of Castle Wyvern. All the gargoyles are playable, and Goliath letting their challenges help you gain lore makes this a solid grab. Gwithant, Savage Hunter. A large evasive character with 2 lore is good enough on its own, but its swooping strike ability can lead to locking out your opponent from developing a board state. Ka, Secretive Snake. Memes aside, this Ka is a massive evasive character with 3 lore, and the set has a few ramp cards to get you to that 7th ink. Finally, here are my favorite rares in Whispers of the Well. Ursula, Whisper of Vanessa. While the base character is alright as a 5-cost 4/5 with 2 lore, when you boost her, she becomes an absolute terror on the board, gaining evasive and a 3rd lore pip. Creeper, Loyal Lackey. 4 lore is a lot, and if the opponent doesn't have very specific cards, you'll be able to quest with him as a fantastic finisher. Can't Hold It Back. In Limited, damage lingers around, and Can't Hold It Back is both a card that exerts a character, it also heals your own characters, and on top of that, it damages and could even remove the character that you exerted. White Agony Plains. This is definitely an ink sink card, set up to make your opponents make decisions. Using your last bits of ink in a turn to move your characters to this location, making it an additional threat is sometimes all you need to finish the game. Nick Wilde, Persistent Investigator. There are detectives all over the place in this set, and, as we've seen with cards like Queen of Hearts, being able to draw cards while making an impact on the board is always a sure way to keep your hand flowing. Well, that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know how you do at your Whispers in the Well limited events. Goodbye.